Hello, everyone. I'm Miss Shay.
What up, though?
Okay, let me go ahead and introduce Eddie real quick. So Eddie Taliaferro is a driven entrepreneur, founder and CEO of Final Boss Studios, a dynamic startup attempting to evolutionize the world of gaming and interactive entertainment. With a diverse background as a tech educator for 5 years and extensive experience as a skilled software developer, Eddie combines his passion for technology and education to lead his team in creating innovative and immersive gaming experiences. So everyone, please welcome Mr. Eddie.
Thank you.
Okay, to start, let's start with this. So when did your interest in technology start, and when did you act on that interest? Was it high school, college, earlier than that?
It was a lot earlier than college. I was probably about 10, 11 years old. I was a huge anime fan, so like drawing Dragon Ball Z, like Goku, Vegeta and all that, that was my thing. So I kind of branched off into graphic design, which is kind of like the original hustle that I had. I would make signatures for people on forums because I was just skilled at it, you know. So it kind of led into a pathway of learning HTML before I ever knew how important that was. So I'll get into the rest of the journey, no pun intended later, but it started from Dragon Ball Z, graphic design, and wanting to just make cool art.
No, that's right. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna get into your technical background. Can you detail your technical background?
Where do I start? So I'll start chronologically, I guess. So it was graphic design, like Photoshop, things of that nature. Front-end development, back-end development. So a lot of what you guys are learning right now, like HTML, CSS, that type of thing. And then over the last couple of years, it's gone into video game development with Unreal Engine 5. And that has been a blast right there, and I'll get to that in a second.
Okay. Okay, so when you first started, what did you want to accomplish, and how did you think that path to get there would look like?
When I first started, I just wanted to be a great artist. That's really just what it was. I didn't really care about making money. I just wanted to make dope art. Eventually, I started to see people want to pay me for these things. So I'm like, oh, that might be a good use of my time to do that. And it just snowballed into a lot of things. So it snowballed into me taking on clients for websites, for this and that and everything. So originally started from art.
Okay, so you did mention Unreal Engine 5, which is like a class that we taught together, so this is so cool. In terms of technology, so what are some of the technologies that you've worked on or are working on now?
So right now I'm working on 3 pieces of technology. So I want to kind of compartmentalize between what I do with Final Boss and my day job. My day job, I'm a web developer, so I work with startups and I build their front ends. So I'm working on 2 projects. One is called The Opposition, and I can only explain so much about these projects, but if you want to match make with somebody with like a pickup sports game like basketball, we're making an app for that. So I'm building the front end for that. Another one is in the blockchain education space. So I'm building the front end for both of those. Really excited about those because they're really innovative. What I do with Final Boss, I deal with Unreal Engine 5. Unreal Engine has built a lot of my own favorite games like Mass Effect, BioShock, Dragon Ball Z that just came out was Unreal Engine 5 and everything. So I'm really touching on a lot of that, but at the same time taking a step back from engineering and kind of learning more about business development, like how to run a team, raising money, making sure my business plan is good, that type of thing. So that's kind of what I'm slowly evolving into.
Okay. So I have a question about your educational background. So it is important for the interns to know that school isn't the only way that you can be successful. So can you give more insight into your educational background?
I don't even know where to start with this. So I dropped out as a senior. So I dropped out with about 100 credit hours. So my family absolutely despised that. They really just like, what are you doing? But I had a plan. That's why I was so confident about it. And literally the next year I was mentoring with this organization. I was here for about 4 or 5 years. So I went from dropping out, people, you know, doubting my decisions to teaching it. And, you know, so it's a certain bit of pride that comes with that, I say, and everything. But originally, I dropped out of college. I was not going to pay $43,000 for a semester of college. It just, for me, it's not in my plans. Maybe for another major or another thing. But for me, as soon as I dropped out, I immediately started learning HTML. I immediately started getting clients for myself, going to hackathons. That's how I met Rich up there. So yeah, that's how I did it. So I went more the entrepreneurial route than anything, which is not for everybody, just like how school isn't for everybody. Like, those are two distinct paths there. I chose the entrepreneurial route.
Right. So I want to make sure you guys know that he dropped out of school because he had a plan, not just because he didn't want to go to school.
Not because I didn't feel like it. Yeah.
Don't drop out of high school.
I want to say this: if I didn't have a plan, I wouldn't have dropped out of college.
Exactly.
I wouldn't have dropped out if I didn't have a plan.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that. All right. So let's talk about hackathons. So you've been part of the community from the Wayne State hackathons to Black Tech Slack group. I didn't even know you were in the Slack group. I was in there too.
Yeah.
And Hacking with the Homies and the AI Bootcamp with Mac and Jessica. And now you're, with Black Tech Saturdays. So how important do you think networking is within communities that look like you?
Man, it's one of the most important things, like, period. So I got a story that I want to share about a hackathon. And so this is sometime in 2017, 18. So I had a job where I basically built bikes at the back of like a Meijer or like a Walmart or whatever. I had to make money at the time, so I was doing what I had to do, So I had an opportunity to go to a bachelor party. So I was really excited about it and everything. It was a really cool thing, So the night before or the day of, or the morning of, I'll say, somebody stole my car. It was a 2005 Impala, tinted window, spoiler in the back. I love that car and everything. So I was so like disheveled and just mad. I'm like, I'm just not even gonna go to this bachelor party. I'm gonna go to this hackathon instead because I need something to kind of uplift me, I was also trying to get into the tech space as well. So that was my first time getting into like the tech network, I'll say. So I won third place intermittent at that particular hackathon. So that got me my first client. And that got me the network to mentor with Richard and everything. So if I would have went to that bachelor party, I don't think my career would have been the way that it was at all. If somebody hadn't stolen my car and I hadn't gone to that hackathon. So sometimes the universe speaks to you, that was for me. But go to a hackathon. I've met a lot of friends too. It's not just about business, you meet a lot of friends as well. A lot of like-minded people that you may not have in your immediate environment.
Okay. And as far as like networking more so, what advice would you give to the students?
Be yourself. Just be yourself. Obviously present yourself well, but be yourself. You want to connect with people that actually enjoy and appreciate with what you're doing. That'll take you a long way. It just will. Over the course of time, you have bad connections and it can really muddy a lot of things. Just make sure you're yourself. You treat people with respect, firstly. Like that, please lead with respect and kindness. That's another thing. Oftentimes people forget about how you're treating people in networking events, especially in a city like Detroit. Everybody knows each other, So, just treat people with kindness, respect, be yourself.
Yes, thank you for that. I also wanted to ask, so it's more so like insightful. So how do you recognize moments along your journey that affirm that you're on the right path?
That is a good question.
Thank you.
That's a very good question. When a plan comes together, when you make a plan and it's executed and you see it be executed and it's completed, that's how you know it's like, all right, like I sat down, I deliberately planned this out and I succeeded in it. So I would say that right there.
And what do you think some of those moments were for you?
Whew. I say so Final Boss Studios is one of those things. So the structure that our team has, we meet 3 times a week, same time every week. We've been doing it for the last 3 years. We haven't missed 1 week. It's been 3 years. I've been able to see like how our lead engineer has blossomed a certain type of way. My co-founder has really, really blossomed as an engineer, which that wasn't even his intention, We've been able to do a lot of different projects, but being able to see my team come together and be able to execute on things where it would take weeks before, now it takes days. That's something to be proud of right there.
Okay. All right, and then as far as the different technologies that you guys use, I want to like focus on that. So what advice would you give for someone that may be hesitant about learning a technology? What would you say for them to like start out with?
You're gonna suck. You're gonna suck. Like sometimes immediately you're gonna do something and it's gonna suck very badly.
Yeah.
And you have to eat it, take it on the chin, and just learn from it. That's with life in general, you know.
Definitely.
Just try to remember that. You're probably one of you in here. You'll remember that when you fail one day. You're like, all right, you know, just don't be afraid of that. You know, just don't be afraid of failure.
Mm-hmm. And for those interested in technology, so like what language would you point them to learn about in today's day and age?
Like as far as like a computer language.
Yeah.
It's a little biased. I would recommend JavaScript. I think it's a good pathway to learn programming, especially when you couple that with website development. You're able to like easily see what you're working on, especially with JavaScript on the front end. So I would start with that, and then you can branch off to like Python, C++ or C#. That, you know, C++, Unreal uses C++, Unity uses C#. So if you learn those languages, you'd be a lot more adept to adapt to video game development if that's what your plan is.
Okay. And then these are going to be more so about entrepreneurship. So in terms of confidence, how have you built the confidence to go from like a part-time entrepreneur to finally full-time? Or, you know,
Ooh, I'm gonna give a very real answer. You go through enough blood, sweat, and tears, and you see yourself persevere, that'll give you a lot of confidence. You see yourself fail over and over, and then you got that one accomplishment that you've been working so, like, it'll give you a lot of confidence. Just persevere, I'll say, you know.
Okay. Okay. Now I got 2 more questions for you. So as a former Journey instructor, do you have any words of advice for the interns?
Words of advice for interns. Study on your own as much as you possibly can. Like the instructors here, they'll give you a good foundation for you to learn on, but really the genius is gonna come from the inside, and that's really gonna come from your own intuition, your own, like, how does this work? How does that button work? And you figure it out, and you learn like 10 things from trying to figure out how that works. So just whatever your own intuition is, like just do that, but also just to kind of double back to your question, study on your own as much as you possibly can. Because once you get to the test or you get to a stressful area, it's not gonna be as hard, you know, so definitely study up.
Okay, and then this is my last question. So with Final Boss, you do a lot of pitching in a way to people who are interested in what you're doing. Mm-hmm. So this is what they're doing right now. Mm-hmm. Do you have any advice for them on pitching their apps?
For pitching apps, so one thing to consider is that you have different audiences. So this audience here is going to be different than pitching to a room of investors. Pitching to a room of investors is going to be different than pitching to somebody that's not in your audience, that's not an investor or your target audience. So like really knowing your audience will really set you apart. You might have different pitch decks for investors, you might have different pitch decks for students, that type of thing. But yeah, I would say that would be the key of a good pitch. Definitely also practice as much as you possibly can. Like as far as like practically pitching, if you got to practice 10, 15, 20, 30 times, do that. It just makes things a lot more effective, and it's just better than forgetting a key bit of information on the spot, you know. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Eddie. Do you have anything else to add or anything else to say?
I got a few more. I got one thing. Okay, so we have a demo for a game called Cosmic Collisions that is coming out later this year. So Final Boss Studios, we make augmented reality games like Pokemon Go. So it takes a little bit longer to kind of make the game. We need beta testers. So whatever channel that I need to go through with Richard to kind of make that happen, if you're interested, please let me know. We need at least 25 to get on the Apple store and the Android store. So there you go. But we're trying to get like 35, 40, that type of thing. So the beta test will help us to kind of iterate over designs and everything. So that's one thing I wanted to say. Another thing, it don't matter if you're gonna be a developer or in technology, just persevere in whatever you're doing. Like, just do that. Like, whatever you believe in, just really persevere in that. Sometimes people might not see the vision the way that you see it, but it's up to you to bring that vision into the world, especially if you're the only person with that vision. You know, so whatever fear you might have, just accept it, love it, and go on and persevere and everything.
Thank you, Eddie. Does anyone have any questions?
Yep. What games do I have a part in? So the ones that we're creating with Final Ball Studios. So for Final Ball Studios, one of the first bit of failures that we tried to make an AR version of Monopoly. So Hasbro basically said no for us getting like the license and everything, which is a learning experience for us and everything. So we tried to make that. I guess another bit of information I could say about that. We actually pivoted our business model after that to just do like software development for AR, that type of thing. We pivoted back to making video games. So like the game that I just mentioned, Cosmic Collisions, that's the game that we're making. We're strictly just AR, so there hasn't really been a lot of AR. Pokemon Go was one, but that would be it right there. That's a good question. Inspiration, definitely. So one of the things about being an artist is I'm really familiar with being inspired. So you're inspired, you might want to write a poem or a song, which is what I do, or you might want to like do graphic design or something. So if you feel inspired about something, like it's going to be a day where you're completely broken down. That whatever that inspiration is, it'll help you to get back up. So whatever your inspiration is, just follow that.
Selena?
How did you know that was your calling? Like, how did you know that that's what you wanted to do?
It took me a long time, to be honest with you. It's not something that it was like an overnight thing. I'll say this though, I'm the person that I wanted to be when I was a kid, if that makes sense at all. It took me a long time to get that way. Like I wanted to be a graphic designer, a programmer, a video game developer, entrepreneur. It took me a long time to get to that. So it just takes a while, you know.
You ain't never wanted to switch, like, become something different?
Yeah, I do. Actually, I plan on retiring from the tech space. Maybe in the next decade, I want to get into art and maybe building stuff with my hands, maybe like architecture, that type of thing. So yeah, I can't do tech forever. So, you know.
Makes your brain hurt. It makes your brain hurt.
What she said. Yeah.
Deshaun.
No. She kind of already asked my question. I was gonna ask you, like, since you got to where you at now, are you satisfied with you at?
That is a good question. That is a very good question. Yes and no. So like the yes part, it took me a long time to learn the skill set and earn the prestige and everything. But no, as far as like, and not even from an entrepreneurial perspective, I just haven't built exactly what I have in my head yet. And I don't got nothing to do with anybody in here. I don't got nothing to do with nobody's business model. I want my own satellite, for example, like out in outer space. So like, until I get that, I'm not gonna be 100% satisfied.
Wait, hold on. You're next person.
Yeah. So my email is eddie@finalbossar.com. And then, also my website as well too. So.
I think we can use this though.
Sorry, say that again. Okay. Y'all see this? Where?
Not really.
finalbossxr.com. So, sorry if my handwriting sucks, you know. So this is a website that I currently am building myself. It's currently under construction. If you want to see the demo, if you want to see a version, a video, of the game that we're making, you can go to that site. It just has a video of the game, nothing else. So the final version of it will be out, I don't know, whenever I get around to it, because I'm building the site and trying to do a whole bunch of other stuff. So.
Wait, hold on.
I'm glad you asked that. Let me clarify that. So I identify as a tech founder. So not only am I a founder, I'm also one of the game developers. I built the website. If I need to be the janitor, I'll be the janitor. I was like, I just want Final Boss to succeed. That's really what it is. So I'll anything that I need to do. I'm the head of sales. I have to sell the product. So like, it's so many different things that I have to do, but I enjoy it though, you know. Because I'm crazy. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Can you repeat that one more time? I couldn't hear you.
Wait, can we hand her this mic?
Yeah.
Here, or I guess I'll just walk up there. Where are you at? That was a good question.
So you started this as a startup, which must have taken a lot of time to build up to the point that it is now. So at what point did you realize that this was something that you could make into a full-time job and something that really depended on?
Okay. So really, the biggest reason is how much money the video game industry makes. Now, what we're doing is kind of like, think of like how making a music, like an album. Like, that's kind of what like we're doing in a way. Like, we have to make the product. But as far as like having it be like a viable job, it's really the amount of money that we're talking about. So last year, the video game industry made, I'm talking globally here, $185 billion, which is twice as much as movies and music combined, which is a lot, you know. But since it is a creative endeavor, we have to take the time to make the game and validate that people want to play it and make sure that the business model can make us money and everything. But to answer your question, the sheer amount of money that the video game industry makes, if we can get like 1/10 of a percentage of that $185 billion, it'll be straight, you know.
Are there any more questions? Right here.
Wait, hold on. 185 billion.
Just there, right? No, you good.
What do you think is the minimum number of people that you need to make a successful startup, and like what type of people? Do they all have to be like software engineers?
Ooh.
And I'm talking about like a tech startup.
That's a good question. That's a really good question. It really depends on the type of product. So I'll do two types of product. Like, let's just say like a regular app or like a video game. So for a video game, you need the actual game developers, you need the game designers, which is a big part of what I'm doing is game design. You need, if you have voice actors, you need voice actors, you need people to design the characters. So it's more of a production type thing. So you need a larger scale of people. For an app, let's just say the weather app where you just check the weather for the next 3 days. That's something me and a backend developer can build by ourselves. But we might need like a marketing team, maybe like a business development manager, something of that nature. But it just depends on the scope of the project more so.
Any questions over here? Oh, go ahead. Let's see if you can project your voice.
So how do you get the money?
I'm glad you asked that. So for Final Boss, we decided to bootstrap until we get the demo, at least the first IP finished for the demo. So I went the route of trying to and attempted to build the MVP. Does there anybody know what an MVP is in the class? MVP? We got 2 people. So an MVP is something called a minimal viable product. So let's just say you're Uber and you're making your app. You need to make Uber to the point where at the bare minimum, people can just get the A to B. It don't gotta be pretty, it don't gotta be have the most bells and whistles. So our team, a lot of teams normally raise money to build the MVP. We are building the MVP without raising money. We're just bootstrapping with our own money, our own time and everything. Once the demo is out, then we're gonna go out and start the fundraise so I can rightfully pay my team what they deserve and everything, you know.
How much time we got left, Rich? Okay. Any more questions? Rich? Let's do DeAndre.
My plan B is web development.
Literally.
So how I'm putting food on the table right now, that's my plan B. So I wasn't like, I have enough intellect to know that making a video game is gonna take a lot of time to make money from. It's not, like I said, it's almost like making an album. There's no guarantee you come out with your mixtape, you're gonna make money, you know? You gotta vet, you gotta figure out where your audience is, you might have to connect with the right managers and everything, you know? So my plan B is software development. Honestly, no, let me take a step back. My plan B is just general entrepreneurship, not even just anytime I see I can provide value somewhere, I'm gonna do that, you know? So somebody sees that I'm good at doing this and I can provide services or, you know, I'll do that. So I say entrepreneurship is my plan B, but practically is web development, that's what I do.
Can I say something with that too? I think when you start from the end, when you start from like your end goal and you work backwards, you ask yourself like, what can I do to get me here? And I think for both of us, it was like web development
Yeah.
right? So I think when you start with what's something that I can do that if all else fails, then I'll like be okay. And I think web development, like coding and stuff, is like a good base point for everybody.
Yeah, I want to add on to that. Like, web development is something that I love to do. It's not like something that like I like begrudgingly go to my computer like. Sometimes depending on who's on the team and the business logic and all that, but I love what I do, and people come to me for it now. I don't have to go out and get clients, so that's a good plan B to have. People come to you for work and everything. Keep that in mind too.
Rich?
I got something. So first is like, I guess being comfortable switching to different technologies. I don't know who talked about that. But like being able to switch to different technologies. I don't work with blockchain, Unreal, Swift, all of these different things. Like, where did that comfort come from, or how did it grow? How did it grow?
It came from me being really comfortable being a nerd. That's who I am. I just build technology. That's what I do. Every other weekend, like I might be out doing stuff. The other weekend, I'm inside building technology. I'm very proud about it. So that's why I'm able to go through and build a lot of different tech. People can look at me and think heavily, like positively one way. People can look at me and think negatively one way. I just love to build technology, so I'm gonna just do that.
I guess the second would be around getting on projects or contracts. You mentioned you juggling a few different things on top of a startup. Like, I don't know, just advice for somebody that's young that doesn't even know that exists or whatever with this skill set. And, any thoughts you have to share about it?
Advice about particularly getting clients.
Getting clients and
You got to put yourself out there. Nobody knows what you're doing. You're probably not going to get any clients. So the way I put myself out there was doing hackathons, and people saw what I was doing. They saw that I was competent, or at least appeared at the time to be confident at what I was doing. So really just putting yourself out there, that can mean a lot of different things for a lot of people. My way of doing it was going out and networking through hackathons and everything. Don't be shy about telling people what you do as well. You can put yourself out there if you don't tell nobody what you do. You gotta be proud about it. So that's one thing that I would share right there.
And go ahead.
Two things. One of the why, I need to make money to put food on the table. So that's one why right there. The other why, I get a fulfillment in building things. Like I said, at my core, I'm an artist. So I do design and engineering, but I really just like to create stuff, especially that helps people. So I get fulfillment in just building things, creating it. It could be a poem, it could be a website. If it comes from an inspired place of wanting to help or expressing something, then it fulfills me. And that gives me a why enough, I say.
Go ahead. Wait, hold on, wait. Let's do Ituni and then you.
Say that one more time. So the next step after this game, so Final Boss Studios, we have about 2 or 3 other IPs we want to come out with. One is on a headset. I want to create an entirely different sport in AR. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm not going to tell you the name and everything. Point being, we got other IPs we want to make. Cosmic Collisions isn't the only thing. In fact, I don't even think Cosmic Collisions 1 is going to be a success. I think the second game is going to be a success. That's Grand Theft Auto 2 was a success. Grand Theft Auto 1 wasn't a success, for example. Fallout 3 was the one that got huge. So that's kind of my philosophy with it and everything. So the step after this, like learn as much as I possibly can about this video game launch, figure out how I can apply that to the other games we're coming out with, and then keep doing that until we exit with a large amount of money.
Nice. Go ahead.
So it's a mixture of both. It's a mixture of people, like maybe people I consider brothers, family, that type of thing. Oftentimes, I think my favorite, as far as like a startup environment, the people that I like allow on the team now are people who are like really passionate about what we do. Like without me having to like, bring it out of them. Like if you see that Final Boss Studios doing something really, really cool, if you're confident in what you do and you're super excited about that, like I could teach that, especially if you're respectable that type of thing. But I really like to see people who exude that like passion about what they're doing, and for our company as well too. At the startup level, you need people that are with the company on the same mission statement. That's really, really important, you know.
Any more questions? Go ahead.
So you're asking how to like start networking, pretty much essentially. So that depends on your field of study and everything. For me, I chose the hackathon. The reason why I chose that is because I just knew a lot of tech people are just going to be there at this point. So there's going to be a lot of people that's there. That's a lot of potentials for connections right there, you know. So is there anything that you're interested in particularly that you want to begin networking with? Okay. So for me, like, I'll kind of give you an example of what I would do if I started today in the XR space. So I'm in the XR space. XR stands for extended reality. That encompasses VR, AR, MR. I will go to, there's a networking event on the 22nd. It's called the XR and Digital Twin Summit. So there's gonna be a lot of people in the XR space. There's a lot of CEOs of XR companies are gonna be there. Tim is my advisor now for Final Boss. He's gonna be there. I will go to that because I know people in the XR industry are gonna be there. I know even if I don't have any experience, you can still just connect with somebody, and you can connect with somebody just on the personality set, and that can lead to other networking events, you know.
Where was the other question? I saw somebody's hand. No more questions? Oh, go ahead.
If you go work for like a different game with a different company, what would it be?
Ooh, Rockstar. It'd be Rockstar. Yeah. So I study Rockstar, right? Like, I'm not trying to sneak this Ubisoft, so I'm gonna directly diss Ubisoft. I don't like Ubisoft. Like they rush their games out. They just rush it out for the sake of, I mean, we're in the business of money, so they wanna make money, but I like how Rockstar does it. They take a little bit extra time to cook, so their games are great, you know? And they make a lot of money doing it, so I'd rather follow Rockstar than Ubisoft. So if I can get on that Grand Theft Auto 6 team, oh man, that was just, jeez, man. Or whatever the next Hideo Kojima production is. If you don't know who Hideo Kojima is, he made Metal Gear Solid. That's one of my favorite artists ever. So whatever he working on, I'd be the other one too.
We have any more questions? Go ahead, Dominic.
Dragon Ball Z is definitely my favorite. It's definitely my favorite. It inspires me to this day to train, like for real, you know, it really does. I've been watching it for, oh man, like more than 25 years.
Since the beginning.
I'm 32 for people who are like wondering how old I am, because some people think I'm like 23 or whatever, yeah. It's one of the last martial arts that are like left. Back in the day, there was more martial arts stuff. And like the whole message behind training, you take an L, you get up stronger. And Goku better than Vegeta too, so you know, there you go. Exactly. What'd you say? Just period, my favorite character? You can't put me on the spot. You can't put me on the spot like that.
Only one right answer.
Dang, man. It's Goku. Goku is the type of person that will smile in your face and you test him and he just beat you up and he just be like, you want a Snickers or something? Like that's sweet, man. Like he don't got no fear. Like like Vegeta the one that be sitting there like Goku, he too carefree. You don't want to get beat up by somebody like Goku. Nah, he'd laugh in your face and be your best friend after, you know.
That's hilarious. We have any more questions?
Oh, Batman. Sorry, Batman and Iron Man, the other two. Yeah, they're really smart. I like how Iron Man uses technology. It's the last thing I'll say because you just disrespected Batman. All right. If you take Tony Stark and Bruce Wayne out the suit, Tony Stark don't got no chance against. He just throw an EMP grenade. It's a wrap. All right. All right. Batman can make that suit too. Bruce Wayne, he can make the suit. He made the hard.
Okay.
Whatever. Okay.
Let's reel it in.
I'm about to
Let's
cry
reel
up
it
here
in.
now. Okay.
Let's reel it in. Y'all getting a little emotional. Do we have any more questions? Go ahead. Okay.
So like, since you started your company, right? Like when you first started, you had like employees. Did they like when you ever made them like develop a game or anything?
So I developed the games with them. So
Right with them, but
Yeah,
at
yeah.
the same time, what if like that game like falls out?
that's the risk that we're all taking. So everybody on my team currently, we all have an equity stake in Final Boss. So I got a certain amount. Everybody on the team has a certain amount of equity in the company. So we all have a incentive to make sure that not just the game, but the company, because our company is more about it's many IPs you want to release. You know.
Right, but you ever got to that point where like games or whatever y'all like on have a project on like sales and like one of your employees left?
Yeah, many times. That's every startup you have ever seen. That's a story. Yeah, like literally every startup I've been a part of, every startup that will ever happen. That's just a reality of being in it. That's why startups are so stressful. That's one part, but like sometimes like what we're doing, we're paying our own money for a lot of stuff and everything. So like we have to have second and third. I got 2 other jobs. You know, my co-founder has another job and he owns his own business. You know, so it's like it's really stressful, but at the same time, it's really fulfilling because once we get to a certain spot, we have an equity stake. And can you imagine having an equity stake in Rockstar? Not Grand Theft Auto, Rockstar games. You know, yeah. So that's the mission that our team has currently.
Then we had you.
Oh, From Software? Oh, they make one of my favorite games, Dark Souls. Yeah. I never beat Dark Souls 3. Like Meek saw me actually. He saw me not beat Dark Souls 3 after 70 tries. Meek beat it. I didn't beat it. I tried 70 times down there. Sorry, y'all. Almost 70 times to beat it. I could not beat it. But From Software, they had another series that another developer I study.
Rich.
She got a question.
Oh.
She been.
My bad.
asking
I
it.
haven't seen it.
2021, I started with Final Boss Studios. So let me detail exactly what happened if you got enough time. I don't know if you got time.
Yeah, we got
Okay.
time.
So I started Final Boss. I wanted to make a VR version of a game called Dynasty Warriors. I don't know if anybody has ever played that, but it's one of my favorite games. So from there, we had to plan. We're just gonna learn how to make video games. So then I had the opportunity to do an accelerator with Epic Games. If you don't know who Epic Games is, they make Fortnite. So it was an accelerator. Shay, you did that accelerator too, right? It was to teach educators how to teach people how to make video games. So from there, me and Ms. Glover over here taught a video game development and AR course. So while in the middle of doing that, just able to kind of galvanize the team a little bit more, and we just started building projects from there.
And then we had Ituni and then Rich. No, okay, Rich. Oh.
You said, what is it like being a founder of a company? It's very hard. It is very, very, very hard. Like, I don't want to sit and like put a lot of fluff on it. It's just very hard. You really gotta believe in what you're doing. You really have to take a couple of L's and smile about it, even when you don't want to. It's very hard, but very fulfilling.
It does.
So let's say you got a little brother, little sister, and they're just looking to get into technology, just to support themselves, right? To get build a good life. Where would you tell them what direction would you point them in of all these different technologies that has most different time?
Probably web development, because it's so accessible, like getting information, and it's even accessible just to even just start building your own website as opposed to getting it on the App Store, that type thing. So you said the age is like 11 or something like that. Oh, it is
Like
in
overall.
general. I would direct them towards w3schools.com. That's actually how I started. Like that curriculum, like, so when I went to college, I learned software development. Everything on W3 Schools, I could have just skipped all those classes and just went to W3 Schools, you know? So that resource has enough for you to learn like front end, back end, even to get into video game development. I think it's a good like foundational piece for you to like branch off to other things.
As far as, I think you were, because we had asked a question like this, but were you thinking in terms of like which languages? What languages? Or just overall?
And also like, you know, whether it's cybersecurity.
Oh, I see.
Like,
Okay.
Machine learning, like whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Okay.
a lot of different, some stuff ain't gonna be around.
So
Right.
that's a good thing. And I was still stress learning how to program through like JavaScript and everything. Really because it's just a good foundational piece to understand like a lot of different things. But for 2024, I would have to refine that, and I would add like AI prompt engineering to that on top of like to kind of supplement your learning. No matter, you could be learning about quantum physics.
Yeah.
You can supplement your learning with a Chat GPT or Gemini. That's what I use, you know, and everything. So just to kind of answer your question, I would start off there. I would start off with web technologies, even if that's not what I'm going to be doing 3-4 months down, and I would learn AI prompt engineering as well.
And so I got 2 more questions. So this one resource, so WC3 is that the one resource you tell people?
W3schools.com would be one, yeah. For everything, for anything. It has almost every programming language you would need, especially in the web space. No, especially in the web space, it would have there. So if you want to learn Python, Java, JavaScript, HTML, SQL on the back end, you can learn it from there, not just JavaScript. But JavaScript is just a good baseline to start learning other things, so, in my opinion.
I think you just say you prefer Gemini over OpenAI.
Yeah. So for me, I like Google's suite of products like Gmail, Google Docs. So like it just integrates to those products a lot more seamless. I do like ChatGPT and Claude and whatever the other ones are, and I'm a Gemini too, so there's a little bit of bias. It's a little bit of bias with that. And Lupe was in that commercial. I don't know if you saw it. It's really sweet. Any more questions?
We all good? No final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I'm very, very happy to see all of you. I'm really happy to see the growth that Journey has made. Please take advantage of the opportunity that you have. Like many people in my generation and the next generation above me didn't have the same opportunity. So take advantage of that and pass on any knowledge you got to anybody younger than you as well, because the world really needs it right now. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you. Thanks, Eddie.